Dzień dobry Państwu.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Agnieszka Gładysz. I'm Director of Strategy Department and Analysis at the Polish Electronic Media Regulator. I'm specialist, Agnieszka, in the Department of the Policy. There is an old adage which I think proves right today, and it's the following. So, the more you get something when you're young, you show it even in the elderly person. The internet gives us a lot. Where does it stem from? It's thanks to these devices that use interactive web, in fact the internet, because that's what you're talking about. It allows us for access to abundant amount of data, entertainment, education, to create content and to use the content. It allows us to have an insight, so the web becomes not only a window to the outer world, but a window through which we can be seen as well. A window we see through as experts is a three-dimensional one. One of these are those who moderate the virtual reality and its market. They take part in acquiring knowledge, in creation of knowledge, in creation of the content. They allow us also to provide the content ourselves. So the window allows us to reach further and further into the content which is in this world being available. Until recently, the reality was that some internet users, in order to use it, had to have proper age and to set the stage in lives. Now the web is available to anyone who has access to the devices, and more often the users are minors. This is why it is so important that at an early stage of their development we provide them access to safe devices, devices that have safe software, safe blocking filters and functions that filter their access to the web. So these are our shells that we have to develop, those that are not permitted with what is available in the internet and what is created. We open the discussion presenting the outline of our presentation. First, we'll tell you about the economic picture of the Polish telecom market and the most important trends occurring at present. Then we'll share the study research results funding. It was a study of a group of people aged 10 to 14 or 9-13 in 2017. To learn about the digital skills of children. And finally, we'll tell you about the educational campaign under the patronage of the President of the Electronic Communications Regulator, which are to make us aware that the youngest generation can properly and safely use the Internet. Year after year, the number of text messages has been decreasing, while increasing is that of voice messages. And exponentially, the transmission of data has been growing. In 2017, the number of text messages has dropped. Nevertheless, the dynamism was smaller than a year earlier. In 2017, Polish users sent all in all about 49 billion text messages, and it was about 2% less than back in 2016. But if we look at the dynamism 2 years earlier, between 2015 and 2016, the decrease was over 3%. The duration of a connection in mobile networks has been increasing, and the dynamism of the growth has been decreasing. In 2017, again, Polish users all in all sent over 102 billion made calls, totaling 102 billion minutes, and was increased by 5% as compared to 2016. However, the most rapid developing service in mobile networks over the last years has been that of data transmission. In 2017, all in all, we transmitted 2.2 exabytes of data. The increase was 63% as compared to 2016. While on the average, each Polish user in 2017 has a share of 54 gigabytes of data versus 34 gigabytes in 2016. If this dynamism will continue in 2018, all in all, we'll transfer 4.2 exabyte of data. And now, what about prices and the speed offered? In 2013, for landline access to internet, we paid 55 zlotys per month. For mobile internet, 52 zlotys. For this price, we would obtain on the average 30 megabytes per second, and in mobile network, 11 megabit per second. In 2017, prices have decreased by 53 for landline and 43 for mobile internet, but the speed has increased. For this price, we obtained 83 megabit and 75 megabit for mobile internet, respectively. Children's digital competence or skills, as we mentioned earlier, the president of the regulator has had a campaign. We'll tell you something more later, but now we focus on digital skills of children. As you know, the development of modern technologies and more widespread access to the internet results in younger and younger children to use the technologies and to use the World Wide Web. These digital competences or skills are necessary for children to learn, and in the future they will need them to work. And as we know, more and more children and younger begin to use the internet. Well, right now we know that 83% of children aged 7 to 14 have their own mobile devices. And in the same age group, 90% of them use the internet. What's the age when they start and have their mobiles? They're younger and younger. So generally speaking, the largest group are those between 7 and 10 years who declare that they have their own mobile phones. If we talk about the use of internet, this data is very similar, and the largest group is age 6 to 9. They begin to use the internet independently, autonomously. What kind of service they use the most? As Agnieszka has said earlier, voice transmission, voice over VoIP has increased, so they usually call to their parents, they call their families. The next services they use most are text messages, SMSs, and the next then is communicated or calling friends. It's not on the site. Also, gaming on mobiles and using communicators in the internet. Also, it's not a surprise to us. I think that most often they play the online games, and they also listen to music and watch movies. What kind of devices they use? Won't be a surprise, I think. Again, the largest percentage, it's about, some technical problem. Anyway, talk about electronic devices they use. About 70% use both laptops and mobile phones, most of which are smartphones, while every fourth kid uses a tablet or a desktop computer. Talking about the privacy and portals, web portals, we have to admit that the prevailing majority of children can protect their privacy in social portals. They use several methods to achieve it. First of all, they don't disclose their logins and passwords to strangers. 60% of them respond like that. They don't send pictures to those they don't know. 50%. Children don't allow the pictures that they post to be viewed by those who are not their friends. Nearly 40% of the responders said that. Many use complex passwords, difficult to decrypt. For 32%, and a small percentage say that they don't use anything, they don't apply anything. Well, talking about parents of children who use social portals, social media, 43% of them admitted that, in fact, the children use such services. Well, they indicate that most often what children post are post and comments. 87% of parents answered like that, and 78% of parents say that the children post pictures in the web. Every fifth parent indicates that the child admits that they post also their own movies they create, and every 10th parent says that the child posts also online streaming, online transmission. Now, talking about aggression in the web, the prevailing majority of children, 2/3 of the responders, said that they never faced such incidents in the web, while of those who face such situations, they indicated the following incidents. Over 3% said that they came across a situation when a friend posted some humiliating films about them or pictures in the web. Nearly 15% of children faced content that would indicate hate speech. Over 15% said that they faced pictures that would create certain body fragmentations or illnesses. 11 says that nakedness or sexual acts, and about 14% indicated that they faced content that would show harm and cruelty. Some would say that 7% would say that they would get acquaintances, and some indicated that there were vulgar posts, information about them in the web, but 6% in addition said they been excluded from a group of friends in the web, in the internet. Now, parental control. 34% of parents apply such tools in relation to their children, of course, in relation to the devices the children use. Nevertheless, these measures are not very drastic, so it's due to several elements. First of all, the parents try to determine certain rules to use the internet. 77% responders said so. Parents try to talk to their children about the rules to use the internet. Quite a large number of parents configure the security settings on devices the children use. Parents also try to make available to their children positive and safe content, of course, to the extent it's possible at all. Some parents use parental control applications, and every 10th parent said that they use the safe starters targeting the youngest. And now we'll talk about education, how to safely use the internet. The prevailing majority of children, 74%, said that they have conversation on how to use internet in a safe manner. Only 24% said that there are no such conversations at home. When we compared it with additional activities that can be undertaken to make them realize how to use internet safely, half of children said that the schools undertake such activities, so there are lessons where they explain and discuss rules to use internet safely. Only every 10th child said that they have no opinion about it. Education. As I said earlier, the president of our office is aware of how important the development of digital skills is, so we have two campaigns. The first one is a Click Mindfully, dedicated to children forms 1 to 6, with the objective to make children realize how to use both electronic devices safely and also the internet itself. Second campaign is Code with UKKE. This is our office, a campaign to show the basics of programming. If we talk about electronic devices, very often parents are not aware of the fact that in the state charter of the school, it should be determined whether the child is allowed to bring a mobile phone or any electronic device to school. And very often, I think you've come across the situation that parents call telling you off that during the lessons or for the day, you confiscated a mobile phone from a child. In our campaign, Click Mindfully, we dedicate several areas that can be threatening to children. The first one are viruses. Here I must admit that especially children in first or second grade don't know what the viruses are. They don't know about antivirus programs or whether they have such installed on their electronic device. SMSs Premium, it's a nightmare very often of parents because they have to pay the bill. We teach the children which are the premium text messages, how to detect them, how much can it cost, and what a subscription can entail if you take part in a lottery or in another internet competition. Safe passwords, secure passwords. Even the youngest know how to create them. And that's compared by our research. They know that they should include capital letters and small letters and special signs, but usually the youngest children don't know where to store the passwords. The girls usually say that most often they keep them on a piece of paper, put somewhere in the diary, or boys say that they keep on the lid of the phone. The safest thing is to keep it in your mind. Games. These can bear both positive and negative aspects. As you know, I think well-selected computer game, educational game, will be very beneficial to the cognitive and emotional development of the child. But those with brutal scenes or vulgar scenes can increase aggression in children. And what's interesting, very often we face it that especially boys in grades 3, they admit that they play GTA, for example, which are dedicated to those over 18, and unfortunately they are bought by their parents. Hate speech. Fortunately, the youngest children, usually those of the first grades, don't know what hate speech is, but those in forms 4 to 6 know very well. They know, fortunately, how to respond if you face it in the internet, especially those who run their own YouTube channels. So they know, generally speaking, that you should block a hater or to report to the administrator, web administrator, or admin of a portal, or not to respond at all, or to inform the parents. But often they have a problem to tell about the difference between criticism and hate speech. And they are not aware that hate speech may be a criminal act. Our response to these threats are campaigns that we've been having, as Ewa has mentioned. One of those campaigns that called Click Mindfully, dedicated to primary school children and teachers and parents. And this campaign is to, first of all, teach children how to move around in the web and how to use the devices, but also how to respond to aggression, how to respond to cybercrime, how to protect your passwords. In 2017, we've carried out 450 workshops. We delivered 450. We had 1,500 lessons with kids, and in this way we managed to train 40,000 children. Our target this year is 50,000 children to be trained. Until now, we've trained 35,000. What's important in this campaign, we've prepared our own educational package, which was positively approved by the Pedagogical Sciences Department of Cardinal Stefan Wyszyński University. Our second campaign, that of Code with UKE, how to creative think, and we had 35 workshops in 2017 about programming with participation of 50 disabled children, and we trained 700 children. Our target for this year is 2,000 children, yes. Until now, we have trained 1,900 or 1,500 children. We code in very different places, and we use very different aids. With kindergarten children, we work on educational maps. As to elder children, they work with special software.
In this case, it was a smart city. Kids managed the city by using algorithms, loops, and functions and variables. We go about the whole country by train. We visit the museums. We are also using a game called Scotty Go. It's pure entertainment, but it's educational too. Even if not all the kids go on and become software developers, it will teach them how to think creatively. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation. I hope we'll have ample time for discussing the protection of the youngest internet users later on. And now let's have a short movie from our campaign. Thank you.